You are now live. Hello, everyone. How is everyone going? All right, so what's up with this filter? Okay, hold on. All right, so I am going to turn this on and we're going to get going. All right, hold on. Let me just wait until someone arrives. Okay. All right. So, okay, we have one viewer so far. So welcome. Let me just turn on this thing here. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 or rule number 5 for your 10 rules of being claimed from Anna Rova. If you're listening to the podcast, welcome. If you're watching this live via Instagram or in my IGTV, also welcome. And if you are listening to this on the podcast, know that this is going to be saved in IGTV as well. And this is our 5th episode of 10 Rules of Being Claimed. So we're halfway through. So bear with me. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Anna Rova. I'm a femininity and feminine embodiment coach. And I run a very powerful program for single, successful women who want to attract their committed masculine men. So today's rule is rule number 5 of the 10 rules of being claimed. And if you've missed all the other rules, I highly recommend that you start from the beginning, although they're not really connected, but I walk you through step by step through it. So rule number 5 in the 10 rules of being claimed is trust words. The other way around. Trust actions and not words. So what this actually means is, this is quite a simple rule, but it's sometimes it's very hard to implement that in everyday life. And I don't know if it's counterintuitive, but I guess it is kind of counterintuitive because, when we deal with men or with other people in our lives, we kind of expect that when people say something or when men say something that they're going to do it. And, in general, when we deal with people, it's always, we expect people to walk their talk, right? And we expect men to walk their talk. But a lot of the times, how it happens is that people don't walk their talk and men don't walk their talk. And so that is deeply, that's disappointing and it's sad. And that's actually one of the biggest things is trust, right? Because when can't you trust a person if you really think about this? And by the way, women not trusting men is a big issue, and it actually runs deeper than just something on the surface. It runs in our psyches and it runs collectively in our experience where a lot of women don't trust men. And rebuilding your trust in men, I've actually also wrote an article about this, rebuilding your faith in men, knowing that there are good men out there who you can trust to walk their talk, and to be good, healthy, masculine men. This is something that a lot of women need to work on. And that's definitely been part of my own journey. So, that's how trust is built. Trust is built, if you really think about, everyday relationships. Trust is built on actions and not words. When do you trust a person? You trust a person when he tells you, I'm going to be there at 5 p.m. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is how things are going to work. And when they do it, and that's how they trust. And trust also accumulates over time. You can't trust a person right away and build that deep trust with them. It actually takes time. That's why, to really trust a man, you can, there is a thing where, trust is also earned, but it's also given right away. So there's a difference there, I think, between, in general, in your being as a woman, to have a healthy relationship with men and with your men, you have to be able to trust men. Like in your psyche, you have to have a belief that men are good and you can trust them. Which that's my belief. But a lot of women don't live in such a world, in their own world, in their head. Everybody has a world in their head and we perceive everything around us through what's the story and what's going on inside of us, right? So there's that inherent trust in men that we have on a daily basis, like we trust the universe, like we trust, the sun to come up and everything. And then there's also trust that is earned over time. And that's why, a lot of the times when I work with women in the program, we talk about, give men chances. Give men chances to stand up, to show up, and to prove themselves to you. Because it's one thing when you trust men in general, but then it's another thing where you actually open up and trust this particular man because you judge his character by his actions and not words. That's why the rule is trust actions and not words. So how this rule goes is, men can talk whatever they want. And the rule goes, you only pay attention to actions. And it's actually a skill, I feel, that needs to be developed and reminded, because a lot of the times, just like us, men communicate their feelings, not a lot, but a lot of the times when they do communicate their feelings, they communicate their feelings. It might not mean much. It might not I talk to women who are very much disappointed when men tell them things, and then they hear it and then you're amazing and everything. And in our mind, we actually translate a lot of the things that we hear into how we hear them, or how we actually want it to sound like, right? So we make up a story in our head that, like, if she tells you, you're such an incredible woman, you might interpret this as like, oh my God, he's really interested. We might be exclusive now. Or like, he's really into a relationship with me. I definitely am guilty of that, of coming up with stories in my head about, where's this going based on what he's telling me. And we actually do this with other people as well. But specifically with men, obviously, language is how we communicate. But there's a big difference between hearing what he's saying and not interpreting that as something else, as something that you'd like it to mean because you really want to be with him, for example. So I hope it makes sense. So what I really recommend is knowing that words are just words, and sometimes words are meaningless, in the sense that, a man might experience emotions with you in that particular moment, and he can tell you a lot of things, but it actually doesn't mean much unless it's followed up by actions. So pay attention to what he says, and very importantly, whether he follows through with it. And that's how you develop trust and respect for your men, and don't let them off the hook, right? So it's also very important to keep men accountable for their words, because a lot of the times, he might tell you many things and then he might not do it. And if you see that, you got to tell him about it, and you got to set up your own boundaries. So, how do you, and I have an article about how to set boundaries with men, and actually a podcast episode. It's all about actions. Like, if you want to be with a man who's there, who's present, you got to keep him accountable for it. And you got to set up consequences and communicate boundaries about it. So, and how you communicate boundaries about it, well, actually, let's talk about this, because I also have an article about this. But normally, communicating boundaries is very important. First of all, you got to feel into them, and then you got to communicate. So if a man doesn't do something, when, let's say, you are with a man, everything is going great, he tells you a lot of things, but he's not following up with actions, then for you, this should be a sign of, well, I'm not sure if I want to be with this man, because in the beginning of the relationship, this will set up the tone of how the relationship will go forward. And so if you're going to let things slip, then you might end up in a relationship, or I don't want to say even worse, but in a very committed relationship, going into marriage with a man who you can't essentially trust, because you know that he doesn't follow through with his actions, right? I mean, obviously, as a woman, you should do the same, And I don't know whether I should say that women have a little bit of a leniency towards that because we're more emotional and we're more in the moment. Like, that shouldn't be an excuse, I think, as a woman, for you not to follow up through your words with actions. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make that generalization in terms of like, oh, if women don't follow up with actions, then that's okay. I don't think that's necessarily okay, but I think there is a difference in how a man shows up when he says he's going to do something, and then how a woman shows up when he says she's going to do something as well. I think that's a human trait, right? But when we put them into the perspective and into the filter of feminine masculine polarity dynamic, and when we really think about, well, masculine energy is all about action and achievement and presence and holding that container, and the feminine energy or essence is all about playing in that container and feeling the space and surrendering and letting go of control, then you can see how the masculine is really the one who is following up with actions and making things happen, rather than for if you're a feminine essence woman, it's more about leaning back, being in the moment, being very much in touch with your feelings and that energy within you. So in terms of boundaries, when you communicate boundaries to a man, let's say, for example, he tells you a lot of things and says, tomorrow I will call you at 7, and then he doesn't call you at 7. Well, it's time to set up a boundary. If, you were waiting for a call and that didn't happen, like, what is that? Make sure you don't slip it through, because, he said something that he didn't do, and that should be an alarm bell, because he's not following his actions. And so how you can communicate is through not sheet sandwich. Is that a sheet? Yeah, probably a sheet sandwich of how you give feedback, for example, and you say something like, look, John, you're an amazing guy. I really am enjoying my time with you. But the fact that, I really, so say something positive, then follow up with the boundary of how it made you feel, and then again say something positive. So, hi, John, I'm really enjoying your time with you and everything. But, it really hurt me when you didn't call me at 7 and you said you will. And it wasn't followed up with an apology or an explanation. And it really, I felt like my time was wasted and like you perhaps don't care, but I know that you, and then follow up, close up with something positive as well. You can say, I know that you're an incredible guy, so I hope that this is never going to happen again. That's it. Yeah. So you communicated this boundary, and let's say you continue seeing John, and John again, I don't know, next week on Tuesday tells you, I'm going to meet you there and there, or whatever happens, I'm going to call you again. So if that same action repeats again, he says, I'm going to call you at 12, he doesn't call you at 12, then you introduce a consequence. So, by the way, I explained this very well in the article, and also there is a podcast episode there about how to set boundaries with men. And if you Google boundaries with men, my article is going to come up on the first page. Woohoo! Anyway, so next time you do the same thing, but you introduce a consequence in that. So how I'm like checking my hair out. I should stop. That's what happens when we weren't on camera. So next time, you say, hey, John, I'm really enjoying my time with you, where this is going, but I'm really hurt, as you know already. I'm hurt when you it makes me feel like I'm wasting my time, and I'm feeling disappointed that you're not showing up as you promised. So then you introduce the consequence and say, look, if it happens again, I'm going to have to stop our discussion and move on. Something like that. So set up a consequence that's going to be painful, because men learn through lessons. I mean, everybody learns through lessons, and this is not about punishment. This is about setting your boundary and establishing yourself up from the beginning as a high quality woman who has her own boundaries. But I mean, don't do that if you yourself don't follow through your words, because that's not going to work. So after that you say, but I know you care. I actually know that you care and that you will follow through. So I really hope that you will follow through, because, I'm really invested in this. I'm enjoying my time. And so that's it. And if John, unfortunately, does this again, then you actually gotta follow through the consequence. If John says, I'm gonna call you on Tuesday next week, he doesn't call for the third time after you've set up the consequence, the most important thing is to follow up on this consequence and actually stop talking to John. You can stop talking to John for about a week, for example, until he realizes that, this woman means business, and that he's never gonna do it again. And if he comes back and said, I'm really sorry, I'm never gonna do it again, all right, okay, John, I'll give you, well, don't say I'll give you last chance, but, give him a chance. And if he does it again, then it's time to move on, because this man is not a man of his words, which means he doesn't follow through with actions. So, and I know it's really hard to do, but you have to do it. And you have to make yourself do it, because it's really important. If you want to be with a masculine man who follows through his words and does what he says he's going to do, thus you're going to trust him, thus you're going to respect him, thus you're going to know he is there and he's going to follow through with his words and with his actions. And that's how you build a relationship with a masculine man. There's nothing more fulfilling for a woman to know that your man is there and he's going to do what he says he's going to do. I have experience in this because my husband is like that, and he showed himself from the beginning. I actually didn't even need to set boundaries or whatever, because he like, honestly, in the last, how many years we've been together, 4.5, almost 4.5, I never had a doubt in my mind that he's there. And I had a lot of doubts with a lot of men before that. So when you are with such a man, it's an incredible feeling to have in your body as a feminine essence woman, that you can relax, surrender, and let go, knowing and trusting that he will take care of it. And of course, things slip sometimes, but most of the times, I mean, he has a whole system. He has an app, which is called Things. So he just puts down his things. He has a system on how to make it happen. So, and he does it, and I love it. And how it actually started, I want to share with you a story before we finish. And by the way, if you have any questions, let me know. I want to share with you a story and then an action for you. So, in our dating life, for example, how he really won me, essentially after pursuing and claiming me, how he claimed me is through an action step that really proved to me that, I can trust this man. So I was in Colombia, Medellin, when I was a location-dependent entrepreneur, actually doing online marketing before this. Eventually all the roads led me to that. But before this, I was in Colombia where I met String. And we met at a digital nomad meetup, and in the beginning I was like, who is this guy? I don't even know you. Like, he wasn't a hell yes, let's put it this way. And I actually actively told him to not waste his time on me. And then we just kind of continued talking. He was on my radar. I was working in these cafes, and he magically was there as well. He had no game whatsoever. I don't know what was going on, but anyways. And so we just kept talking, and I was like, but I didn't care. Like, honestly, I had my dating funnel set up, and I didn't care. I was so in love with my life, and I was really in my feminine essence fully. Obviously, he was really attracted to that. And then one day, I remember the ATM in Colombia ate my, ate my debit card where I had all my money, and my salary was going there and everything. And I was just literally left without money. And I mean, we were casually talking something, whatever, because he was one of the expats there, and we were going on trips sometimes and everything. And I was, I was just there having the time of my life, sometimes talking to him. I really didn't care. I didn't even see him as a potential anything. And, I just kind of dropped it and said, oh my God, the ATM ate my card and I don't have any money. And I think we're seeing each other or something. We probably were casually having fun, if you know what I mean. And then he said, how much money do you need? And I'm like, I think it was maybe about 1,500 US. And I said 1,500 US. And then he was like, the money is going to be on the table tomorrow, and just give it back to me when you can. Somebody's asking me how old I am. I'm 31. I don't know why you're asking this, if it's relevant or not, but I guess it is. So yeah, I'm 31. And so I was, and the money was there tomorrow. And in my system, it was a bit of a shock to me that a man, I mean, he in general is a very generous guy, and he trusts people very easily. When we met, how old were you? Okay, sorry, how old were you? Yeah, sorry. I was 26. So you can say I'm 31, I was 26. And then of course, I was 26 and I could be in my energy. You could argue that at 26, of course you can afford to be all of that. But, through my experience with women, working with women and being myself a 31-year-old now, that feminine essence and feminine energy and being a girl is actually absolutely possible for grown-up women, and you don't have to be like a girl, a damsel in distress or whatever. I mean, I had my life together. I was earning money, and I was like, I was in Colombia, I was independent, I had everything set up for me, but I had that sense of feminine play. And it doesn't matter if you're older. I mean, it really doesn't matter, honestly. I've met women who are in their 40s and who possess that quality. You don't need to be 26 to be in that. It's a certain energy. And oh my God, how many 23-year-olds you can see that are totally in their masculine energy. It's not a matter of age. It's a matter of being in your body as a feminine essence woman, having an amazing life and feeling free, and like you can let go and surrender and trust. And men are very much attracted to that energy. I've actually interviewed my husband on the podcast, if you want to listen to that, and we talk about this. And I asked him, what attracted you to me? And he was like, you were just a girl. I mean, ultimately, deep down, no matter if you're 35, 45 or 50, men want to be with a girl. Doesn't matter how old you are. The energy of a girl, not like a little girl who doesn't know anything, but the energy of a girl, I want my girl, like my woman, my girl. So that's the energy that you ideally, and not ideally, that's the energy that's attracting committed masculine men who want to take care of you, who want to provide for you, and who want to hold that masculine pull for you. Because if they don't feel like they're needed, that they can be your hero, then there's no place for them. Perhaps that's why you might not be attracting them. So back to my story, and then I see women coming into that energy and how much more freer and fulfilling it is for them when they know how to access that, when they know how to switch from go into flow. And again, I talk about this in my webinar, girlskill.com/webinar, if you want to know more about these shifts and how they work. So back to my story, it was really a surprising moment for me, because I wasn't in a relationship with this guy. He was there. And men intuitively and instinctively do these things for women naturally. They offer to help, they offer to take care, to provide, and to protect. And if you're a woman, if you agree with me, and you can comment or message me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the problems stem from women not being able to let go and actually let men help. And the women that I work with, and when we work together, they're like, oh my God, when I leaned back, he leaned out. He's mowing my grass, and he's changing my tires, and he's doing everything. But that's because you leaned back. If you're not leaning back, there's no place for him there. So after that happened, he was consistently showing up. Like, he really caught my attention, and he was consistently showing up whenever we were going somewhere. He was planning everything. He was doing this. He was pursuing me. And I was like, wow, I really feel claimed by this man. And so little by little, I fell in love with him. Not because, of course, the only thing that he did is gave me money. We actually joke about this. He's like, you're a gold digger. I'm like, no. It's hilarious. Because our story, essentially, like, that was the moment. And it was not about money. It could have been something else. It was an act of, hey, what do you need? I'm here for you. You can rely on me and you can trust me. So that was the moment that everything changed for us. So an action step there, and since then he has been consistent in that. He has been consistent in his actions and his words, and obviously now we have a child, and especially when you go into having a child with a man, that is paramount, that you trust that he will be there and all of that. So I have a question here. It says, I want great courtship with presents, details, surprises, but I'm finding myself disappointed from their lack of outrageousness or originality. I want gifts. I want effort. That's so sexy. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, of course you want gifts. You want efforts. That's so sexy. Lack of outrageousness or originality. Look, this is actually a very subtle dynamic, and I don't know if your name is Vaneira, but that's how I read you here on Instagram. We've talked a little bit about kind of your dynamics with men, but how shall I talk about this? Look, obviously, like, you know, obviously it's amazing when a man is outrageous and like original and like takes you on a helicopter ride and oh my god, I don't know what, does this and that, I want gifts, I want this, I want that. Like obviously that's what we want. But a lot of the times I think, Venera, okay, Venera, good, nice to meet you. So a lot of the times, you know, I believe that sometimes this might be a little bit of an unrealistic expectation. Like, you know, I mean, again, so yesterday actually I talked about rule number 4, which was, I can't even remember what it was now, but we talked about, you know, what is the, oh yeah, he's not your other half. What is the priority that you want men to talk? Like if it's courtship, Venera, perhaps you're in a moment of courtship. There are certain things that you can do to allude to that, right? I don't know if all men are naturally wired to shower you with gifts and flowers and everything. You know, they definitely learn about that in pickup strategies and how to court women and everything. And I feel like they naturally want to give you gifts and they naturally want to be original and effort and everything. But I think there's a subtle sense there. Like, you know, when I look at my man, like he's definitely not completely outrageous. He is original though, but in his own way, you know, like how my man communicates, and you can look into, you know, 5 love languages and things like that. That's actually really important to understand his love language. My man communicates to me with drawings of worms. I mean, this just sounds ridiculous. I can actually show you right now. Hold on. I'm just taking off my wall a drawing. I actually wrote an article about this on Medium where I took photos of I took photos of the worms that he was showing me. So I don't know where this started, but I think it started something like we were traveling. He's drawing really well. And like he really has a great sense of humor, and he drew like a worm on my thing. And since then he was just drawing me worms for like 4 years. So I don't know if you can see this. I can't even see this, but basically, so what you see right now on Instagram, and if you can't see it, obviously you can hear it. This is a photo of him. So he's one worm, and then my daughter when she was throwing up on him in the middle of the night. So that was one night. It's actually like true. That's like he gets his inspirational. Zoe was sick and she was I mean, it was very traumatic for me, but that's what happened. And then actually, this is really a really fun one. This is what he drew for me. He draws this, sends me pictures, and then we laugh about it. This is actually when I told him that a woman signed up for my discovery call by searching for #sexual attraction. And so this is a picture of 2 worms hugging in an Instagram post with the #sexual attraction, which is hilarious. And the last one that looks like that was something about, you know, me making money with my business or something. So to me, that's really original, you know. The drawings you have at your back are yours. No, the drawings I have in my back are just posters. Drawings is a way of communicating between you. That's so original. Yeah, so you see, I mean, this man clearly shows his emotion like that. He also, I know that he comes up like, you know, he gives me big, great gifts on my birthday. And he really puts an effort to do that. And he doesn't give me a lot of gifts during, you know, the month, let's say, or whatever. Although I do tell him I love gifts and it makes me feel amazing and everything. But I don't know, for him it's not a priority. And that's why yesterday I talked about, you know, what's really important for me. It's him being in his provider, protector role. And then everything else kind of comes down to, he does it, he doesn't do it. I mean, I also want him to take me out to dates and find these outrageous things. And yes, I am disappointed, Venera, but I feel like if you really focus on the quality and the energy that the man brings you and the role that he's playing. I mean, in courtship, he actually did a lot of the things, like, you know, he took me to dinners and invited me to places and brainstormed about things. So Think about a way how you could perhaps evoke that in men, but they naturally do that once you lean back and they feel the energy that they need to pursue and court you. When you do that, and remember, rule of thirds, you have 3 men around at all times, there is competition, and the more you lean back, the more he's going to come to you. But to me, that's actually not a deal breaker. Like I would rather, that's what my man does for me, like, you know, a big gift once in a while rather than many small gifts. He does now bring me flowers. It's also a process, right? It takes time, because a lot of men perhaps haven't been educated on this, so you got to communicate with them with feelings, remind them of feelings, say, I love when you give me flowers, it makes me feel amazing, so feminine. Just talk about it, but not in a way where, why didn't you give me flowers, or you need to buy me flowers, but talk about your desires, talk about what you want, and then see him show up, you know. And a man will find a way to pursue you and to communicate with you in an original way if he's really into you. That's my kind of thought. And if you're not getting that, see if you can ask for it. Ask in a way that is a feminine way of doing it, right? So, and a lot of men are not wired to be original and creative and everything, but you know, for me, for example, the most important is, again, that he is that protector and provider, and I know that he's there. And then think, Venera, of ways how you could actually contribute to your own, like, think about what are the gifts and the effort and that originality and outrageousness. What is that really about? In my sense, in my being, it's all about, I think, about excitement, about being claimed, right? About somebody making an effort to pursue you. So if he's not doing enough, obviously, like, communicate about this, lean back, but see how you can fulfill those needs in your own way. You know, if you want excitement, there's plenty of ways you can get excited about your life and about yourself, you know. I started buying stuff for myself, and that makes me feel amazing. Of course, it's amazing when a man does that for you, but think of ways how you can fulfill those needs in your own way and perhaps release the pressure of them, and you will see that might surprise you in a very nice way. For me, it's a huge present once a year and perhaps once in a while, you know, but overall I'm really happy with what my man does and what he needs, with what I need, and that releases a lot of pressure from the relationship. So yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so last thing we're going to talk about is an action step for you. So where in your life, think about where in your life men have been telling you things but not walking their talk. And know that this is a red flag and you need to set boundaries and introduce consequences. So think of ways, and now going forward, I really encourage you in your dynamics with men to really pay attention to what a man tells you, and know that do not create, I know this is really hard to do, and you know, when we work together, we could work on getting more into your body, like the rule of thirds, right? The rule number 3. If you have 3 men around you, you're not going to be stuck on one man telling you amazing things. And really be, I don't want to say pragmatic, but a lot of the times we're in the moment where things are heated and everything, you know, you're there, it's exciting, but it doesn't, like, if a man tells you an incredible woman, again, it doesn't mean you're in a relationship. So be careful with what you hear and filter through what you hear against the actions that he's doing. If he's telling you all these amazing things and then he's also calling you and courting you and doing everything, yeah, shop for shoes until you find your fit. Exactly, Beatrice. You know, if he's following all these words with actions, then you know you can trust him. This is going somewhere. If he's telling you all these amazing things about you, but he's like not calling you, not consistent, not asking you out on dates, and not progressing the relationship forward, that probably means he's not extremely interested in taking this to the next level. So that's your action item. And I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much, everyone. I just stopped my recording. Yeah, so if you have a question, let me know, or anything that you'd like to share, I'll give you another 30 seconds. But otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Is it tomorrow? I think so, 8 p.m. Pacific time. It's Saturday for me, but I'll make it happen. With rule number 6, don't stop your funnel until you get claimed. And after that, I'm going to go and have some amazing massage with a bath at a salon, which is how I'm fulfilling my own needs. See? Walking my talk. All right, ladies, have a great night. Have a great day wherever you are. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. And yeah, this is going to be on my podcast and also on IGTV. All right, bye.